Well, this pretty much makes the RTX 30 series completely obsolete. Let's talk about it. Before that, make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss another video. So I have a ton of information to share with you guys today about Nvidia's next generation Lovelace GPUs that are going to be coming out later this year. I know we were just talking about some leaked information in terms of the specs just the other day, but even more information has ended up leaking online, and I have to share this with you guys because it's some really exciting stuff, and we're starting to get basically the full picture of what the entire lineup is going to be. Now, a little bit later this week, I'm going to go ahead and put together all the various different specs and show you guys what I believe basically every single GPU is going to look like, but today I have some very critical information to share with you guys about stuff that's really going to affect the performance of these GPUs, and I think is going to allow us to get a much clearer picture of what they're going to look like. And so the information that was actually shared today comes from the Twitter user Xeno Assassin. Now, I haven't seen this person before, but it looks like they did go ahead digging through some of that information that ended up leaking online. And if we take a look at these leaked images, what we can see here is that while it pretty much paints a picture of what the L2 cache on these graphics cards is going to be. Now, this is actually some very important information because when you take a look at the RTX 30 series, they do have a lot of memory bandwidth, but there was some concerns about the RTX 40 series not having enough memory bandwidth because there wasn't potentially going to be GDDR7 ready in time. Now, initially, I was thinking that maybe GDDR7 would be ready in time for the RTX 40 series, but it's looking like that's unlikely to be the case. So we're going to have to stick with GDDR6X or some sort of GDDR6 plus type of memory solution. I think we're probably going to be capping out around 24 gigabits per second, which of course with a regular 384-bit bus, which is what we're likely going to be seeing on the top flagship card like the RTX 4090, well, that's simply not going to be enough memory bandwidth to allow these cards to get the amount of performance that they're going to need to actually be a substantial jump over the RTX 30 series. So yeah, there's a lot of concern about memory bandwidth. Well, I think we can all put those fears to rest because according to this leaked information, here's the type of L2 cache that we're going to be seeing on the RTX 40 series. Now, first starting off with the 8102, and by the way, the 102 all the way down to the 107, the cache amounts were leaked for these GPUs. If you don't know, 102 tends to be like the top flagship GPU that's going to have like a 90 class GPU, all the way down to 107 is going to be, like your entry level 50 class type of GPUs, and then like 104 in the middle is going to be something like the, 70 class GPU. So that's typically how Nvidia likes to name their stuff. But in any case, starting off with the flagship GPU, though, 8102, this one apparently is going to have 96 megabytes of L2 cache. Now, if you don't know, the RTX 30 series, the GA102, which houses the RTX 3090, only has 6 megabytes of L2 cache. So yeah, the RTX 4090 is going to have 90 megabytes more cache than the RTX 3090. That's just an absolute mind-boggling increase in the amount of cache, and I think you can start to see here how this is going to end up actually helping out the memory bandwidth situation that we're going to be looking at on the RTX 40 series. Now, moving on to the 8103, here we're looking at a 256-bit bus versus the 384-bit bus you're going to see on the 8102, and it's going to apparently have 64 megabytes of L2 cache. Again, a massive increase over the 4 megabytes on the GA103. Now, moving on to the 8104, the thing that's probably going to be housing an RTX 4070. This thing's apparently going to have a 192-bit bus, and it's going to have 48 megabytes of L2 cache. Again, a massive increase over the GA104's 4 megabytes. And then moving on to the 8106, this has a 128-bit bus and apparently 32 megabytes of L2 cache, and the same for the 8107. 128-bit bus, 32 megabytes of cache. Whereas you compare that to the GA106, that only had 3 megabytes of cache, and the GA107 only had 2 megabytes of cache. So we're talking about orders of magnitude more cache than we've ever seen on any type of GPU that NVIDIA's ever produced in the past. Now, I think this is kind of following the example the AMD set with the RX 6000 series, where they didn't simply have enough memory bandwidth. However, they did make up for that with just an enormous amount of cache on the GPU. It does seem like it, to a certain extent, if you do add an enormous amount of cache, it is going to alleviate that memory bandwidth issue quite a bit. So it looks like NVIDIA is going to be going that route, as GDDR7 is likely not going to be ready in time, and this is going to allow them to get the full performance out of the GPUs. So I think now we have a full picture of, what these GPUs are going to look like. I think now it all starts to make sense how the RTX 4090 is going to get nearly 2 times as powerful, or maybe even more than 2 times as powerful in certain situations than the RTX 3090. I mean, it doesn't need to have 2 terabytes of memory bandwidth if it has 96 megabytes of cache. That's going to allow it to stretch its legs and get a ton more performance out of this GPU. But I think this is also going to mean that these GPUs are going to be absolutely massive. They're probably going to draw a lot of power, especially the 90 class GPU out of Nvidia, as they're going to be pushing the clock speeds as high as humanly possible and probably still using some sort of overclocked GDDR6X type of memory as well. So that's going to be drawing a lot of power. So yeah, the 90 class GPUs coming out for the 40 series, they're going to draw a lot of power, but they're going to also give you a lot of power. If you don't know, by the way, the release date for these things are probably going to be around September, at least when they're going to be talking about them or announcing them. Yeah, we're not too far away. These things are looking incredibly powerful, but hey, that's all I have to say about this one on this video, guys. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what these specs for the RTX 40 series are looking like, as we're getting basically every single day a whole bunch of more leaks that are being found in this whole data breach that happened over at Nvidia. There's some really exciting stuff, but yeah, I cannot wait to get my hands on these GPUs, and I'll continue to update you guys on every single piece of information that I can find, as it's looking to be the most impressive upgrade that we have ever seen in any generation out of Nvidia ever. But hey, that's just what I think. Which graphics card are you going to be trying next generation? Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to drop a like. Every time you do so, AMD and Nvidia get more stock. Also, if you want to see more, click here. You won't be disappointed.